This is Dolynny TV. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion. And today let's get speculating on a couple of things. Number one, obviously, kind of the alarm bells going off in Oilers land as well. Dave Tippett nears that head coaching job a little bit more. We kind of are starting to see the names being mentioned in Ottawa. Dave Tippett's not anywhere near the top like he is in Edmonton. Buffalo's already got Ralph Kruger and such as it goes on. The other side of the coin is Olivier Rodrigue has signed his 3-year entry-level deal with the Oilers, so now we have another goaltender to add to the mix. I was hoping it would be Hayden Hockey first. However, it's going to be Olivier Rodrigue, the first one added to the mix this offseason. In terms of young goaltenders filling out the farm roles, whether Rodrigue goes back to the QMJHL or to the ECHL, AHL this year, who knows? But essentially another goalie under contract with the big club to add to the mix in the developing system. That's another name. Let's get to it. So, obviously, number one speculation today is coming out of Oilers land. The fact that, well, Dave Tippett and the Oilers seems like a sure thing at this point. Bob Stauffer and Mark Spector, according to the Edmonton Journal, were on Oilers Now today. I would bring up all this and I would show you it, but unfortunately, being a former journalist myself, I'm trying to save a little bit of journalism for the guys still doing it. So if you want to see where I'm reading my material, go to the Edmonton Journal, find the article entitled Tippett Gets at Least a Passing Grade When It Comes to Developing Young Talent, or Edmonton Oilers Tire Tippett, not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's the title of the article. With that out of the way, essentially the big concern everybody has, and I don't know to what degree it's been overblown. We like to overblow things here in Oilers land, and maybe it's fair shake. There's a tale of two tapes, which the Edmonton Journal, this is the reason why journalism is still important, is they bring up the two different tales of the tape when it comes to a guy like Dave Tippett. Now you're going to see where I fall on this specter when you start talking about the names listed here. So obviously the question is the young talent development, right? The Oilers, I've already bargained for it. You've got Maruti, you've got Benson, you've got Person, you've got a guy like Caleb Jones or Ethan Bear, William Lagesson, whoever fills that role. And then you've also got Shane Starrett, Ryan McLeod, guys that are on that bubble. Don't forget Puljujärvi and Yamamoto in there as well. Gambardella, Curry. Guys, I could go all day. I could name the entire Bakersfield Condors Evan Bouchard roster if you want me to, but we don't need to go there. Essentially, yeah, the Oilers have a lot of young talent. They're going to have to use some of that this year, and they're going to need a coach, unlike Hitchcock, who's actually going to have confidence to play them more than 3 minutes and 20 seconds a night like he did with Maruti, how many ever given nights. So, right there, that's the main concern with Tippett, is the young player development. Now, the Journal brings up the fact that, well, between 03 or 02 and 09 in Dallas, guys, he brought up some great players. Like, you got to look at a guy like Steve Ott, Trevor Daley, Antti Miettinen, and then you've got Trevor Daley to an extent. You're seeing kind of where I'm going with these names. UC Jokinen, Louis Eriksson, Joel Lundqvist was a dud. Mike Smith, goaltender, absolutely fantastic early in his career. Nicholas Grossman, pretty good defenseman in his own right. Then you've got Matt Niskanen, good defenseman in his own right, early in his career. Mark Fistrick, well, another dud. That's just, I'm throwing out some names here. James Neal, this is the big one, right? If you're going to look at where the big names come in, James Neal is obviously a big one, in which was developed in Dave Tippett's time in Dallas. So a lot of good names there. Guys, that is a lot of names that dominated winning teams in the late 2000s to early 10s, right? Obviously, I'm thinking the window between 05, 06 to about 2012. You're thinking that window. That's where those guys really dominated. And you can't kid yourself. A lot of those guys were great guys at their time of playing when they were getting those big contracts that have now sucked up teams' cap, right? Obviously, James Neal and Louis Eriksson come to mind for more recent contracts, but don't forget these guys have been around a lot of years and had a lot of contracts over those years. The problem is the tale of two tapes, like I mentioned. The Journal then goes and flips to the Arizona seasons under Dave Tippett. And guys, this is the names where you have rookies coming in. Dave Schlemko, probably a pretty good defenseman, honestly, for what his caliber of deep potential was. He's a pretty good hit. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, great hit. Kyle Turris, great hit. Michael Stone, Connor Murphy, And then you've got, let's see here, you've got Tobias Reeder, sorry, phone call. Klaus Dahlbeck, Jordan Martinook, Louis Domingue, he's been all right, not great. Max Domi, great in Montreal, not great in Arizona. Jordan, where else are we going? Anthony Duclair, guy that's still trying to find a footing. Christian Dvorak, well, he's been all right, but how much does that come after Dave Tippett in the past 2 years? Lawson Krause, Jacob Chychrun, Dylan Strome, great in Chicago, bad in Arizona. Clayton Culler, well, he's been quite all right. Christian Fisher, to a degree. And then you've got Tony DeAngelo and, of course, Brandon Pierlini. So you guys see where I'm going. Tony DeAngelo, lots of points, but I don't think he's any longer in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's with New York, isn't he? He went in that Derek Stepan trade. I can't remember which one that is. So you see where I'm going. There's a lot of great names in Arizona, but is it too early to tell if he developed them right? Well, you look at the big names. Obviously, you've got Keller, you've got Strome, and you've got who's my other guy? Hold on, I had this before I scrolled up. Max Domi. Those guys look like one great guy in Arizona still. The other two had to go elsewhere to flourish. That's kind of what you're getting with Dave Tippett more recently. That's the tale of the two tapes right there. Bang, bang. Dallas, lots of great guys who have gone on to have great careers. Guys that are still young might have great careers, but they're not in Arizona. They didn't flourish in Arizona. That's kind of the question. So right there, I'm just laying it on the line. You can kind of see where I'm sitting after naming those names and kind of the apprehension around Dave Tippett at this point. But it's a wait and see process at this point. I hope we get some other names on the list. I really hope we get about 2 or 3 other guys coming to the front, stealing the limelight from Dave Tippett for a day or two, stealing the speculation, really hammering some decision making from the Oilers on maybe taking a while to choose a coach. And, well, hopefully things are going to go. But it's well put this way, actually. He's had some real success developing young players, but he can't craft diamonds out of hockey pucks. That's the thing. So the Oilers have done a good job at drafting, but is it going to be enough for a guy like Dave Tippett to turn some talent? I don't know. Anyway, we got more news to talk about today, kind of like similar to the Logan Day discussion from yesterday. Olivier Rodrigue has signed his entry-level contract. The guy obviously drafted back in the second round this past year, 62nd overall in the 2018 entry draft. And guys, he had an alright season down there. He had 113 goals against in 48 games played for a 243 goals against average, 35 wins, 9 losses. This guy was unreal. I mean, Drummondville was pretty good too. Let's not kid ourselves. And the QMJHL, what I will say, from my experience as a CHL passer-buyer, I guess what I'd say, take a flyer and kind of try to keep up. The QMJHL is one of the weakest links in the whole CHL when it comes to overall competition. There's great teams, there's the middle teams, and then there's the really bad teams. I could be totally out to lunch. I haven't looked at the QMJHL stats. What do I know? That's all I say. But a .902 save percentage as well, so pretty much second best in his career down there in the QMJHL. And in junior hockey, pretty much anytime you've got a save percentage anywhere above 900, you're doing okay in my opinion. He played 3 games in the playoffs. I think he was backing up though. He had a 227 goals against average, 1 loss, and a .905 save percentage. So good on him there as well. So for the Oilers, again, what I mentioned is this is just another move to shore up the minor league roster depth. Obviously, this is the move, unless there's another move coming that I just haven't seen, that allows you to use the roster, right? You can now bring up Shane Starrett if you want. Olivier Rodrigue, he can stay in the minors, or you bring up Shane Starrett. The wild card, though, is the fact that Al Montoya, who did see some time in the AHL this year, he's no longer under contract. He's free and clear of the Oilers. And now you're missing a goalie, a body down there in the AHL. So if you're going to roll maybe Stuart Skinner and Dylan Wells in the AHL, you're going to need someone for the ECHL. And if Olivier Rodrigue dominated the QMJHL as well as he did, why not throw him in the ECHL, bring him up like he did with Stuart Skinner a couple times to the AHL, see what he's got. Never know what a goalie's going to turn into. This is the hardest position to predict in all of hockey. You can have a goalie suck it up all through minors, and then suddenly he gets an emergency start in the NHL and makes 56 saves, allows one goal, and you win 2-1 in overtime. That's the kind of hockey that's played in the NHL by goaltenders. It's no rhyme nor reason, and my experience with young goalies, guys, I've been around a lot of junior B goalies. You just don't know what you're going to get from night to night, and to judge a guy who's 18, 19, 20 in net, they're young. They're young. I was young once too. I'm only 22, but you get where I'm coming from. Being 18, 19, 20 with all the pressure in the world on you, you're going to have some different nights, and that's for sure. So wouldn't be a bad thing to throw him in the ECHL, get him in a men's league, and see what ends up going on. Anyway, guys, the only other thing is Holland's ready to be thrown to the Wolves, so let's see what he keeps doing. That's another article that was popping up on the Oilers timeline today. And if I missed anything, well, there will be a second video out about it. We will talk about it a little bit later. Guys, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. I am up on out of here.